Remember the milk, how to batch your task with tags. That's what we're talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. And remember the milk, tags save keystrokes. For me, that's the bottom line. I've been using them for less than 2 years, but in a way, I've been using them for more like 20 years. This year, 2021, marks 20 years of me organizing digitally. With more and more information, especially email, coming my way digitally, it just made sense to let digital things stay digital. That was way back then, and it's still true today. I realized early on the power of search. No more flipping through pages of paper planners to find something. Enter a word or phrase in the search window and let the software find it. My system for task management is date-based, meaning every task gets a due date, and that due date is what puts certain tasks in front of me today and others in front of me tomorrow. But life doesn't always happen according to the list. The phone rings and it's Joe. How quickly can you put your hands on a list of everything you need to talk to Joe about? Well, for me, for the last 20 years, type Joe in the search window, and there would be everything that's on my list, no matter what date that I need to talk to Joe about. You're stuck in the waiting room at the dentist office. You could make some phone calls. How quickly could you put your hands on the list of all the phone calls that you needed to make? Well, if you were consistent about putting the word call in any phone call, searching for the word call would bring them all up for you. Another one of my favorites had always been ETR, by shorthand for expect to receive. Type that in the little search window, and there's a list of everything that everybody owes me, because I would always put those letters in the task line when I let somebody borrow something or when I ordered something online. So if search works, why do we need tags at all? Let me give you an example. Tags take fewer keystrokes. One of my roles in life is that of the historian for the Alabama Music Educators Association. So if I were creating a task involving that particular organization, maybe as I need to call Tom, something related to that role. So I would probably put in the task line AMEA historian, so that I could search later for AMEA historian and see anything involving that particular role in my life. Okay, so I could do that, and that would work. I could search for AMEA historian up here and it would bring that up. But look how many keystrokes that took. If I were doing the same thing with tags, watch what happens. I'm going to say call Tom. I'm going to hit the hashtag, and as soon as I hit the letter A, look, I hit add task, and it's filled all of that in for me. I just start typing the first part of the tag that I had already created, and it's already there for me. Secondly, tags prevent typos. Searching for a keyword does no good if the word is misspelled. For example, here we had one about call Tom regarding Amy, a historian. What if I had misspelled that and maybe put an O there? So now if I search for historian, it only pulled up this one, but it doesn't pull up the one about Tom. And I am notorious for little typos here or there. So if you make a typo, it's not going to find it in the search. Third, tags can be assigned or changed in mass in Remember the Milk. During the day, I throw a number of tasks at Remember the Milk, and they all wind up in the inbox. In fact, here are some people that I need to call, and I've just thrown their names in there. So what I want to do is add a tag for all of these. Instead of having to do them one by one, I can put a check at the top, and whatever I apply to one is going to be applied to all. I'll hit the S, which is the shortcut to bring up a list of tags. And if I say, I want to call these people, I'm going to say this is going to be a phone call. I hit the letter P, it pulls up phone. I hit enter, and it's tagged all of those phone. So what tags do you need in Remember the Milk? What are the activities in your life where you need to batch tasks and say, make a bunch of phone calls together right back to back, or check up on the things that other people owe you in one batch, or check up with a particular coworker with whom you need to touch base on a number of things and you want to handle all those in one go. So here are the tags that I use. As you see, I don't use that many. You're not going to use exactly the same ones that I do, but some of them are going to be the same. First of all, we talked about AMEA historian. So think about the different roles in your life. Are you a committee member on something that is ongoing? Do you hold a certain role with a civic organization or with a church? You could create a tag for that. Constant contact. These are all of the things that I want to include in my weekly constant contact newsletter that I send out, or things that I want to talk to the fine folks at Constant Contact about. I just simply apply the tag Constant Contact. Now, how would I do that? In my day-to-day life, as I think of something that I need to tag Constant Contact, I'm just going to hit Control Alt M and Remember the Milk. I'm using the desktop version, so no matter where I am, as long as I have the program open, it's going to create a new task for me. I'm going to type whatever the task is and then to tag it Constant Contact. Hashtag, I get the letter C. I've got two things that start with the letter C. It's highlighted the first one. I hit enter and it's tagged it for me. I hit enter again and it's on my list and the box goes away. Course creation is anything about a course that I'm creating. My wife's name is Devanya, so things that I would need to talk to her about, I simply apply that hashtag. Hitting hashtag D automatically applies the tag. This one's a very important one. ETR, expect to receive, my little shorthand. So anything anybody's owing me when I place an order, hashtag E to add that tag to it. When somebody borrows something from me, hashtag E applies that tag. And then all I have to do is click that tag to see a list of everything that everybody owes me. Let's go down here to things I want to listen to. Maybe it's a podcast. And I want to listen to that podcast later and want to be able to pull up a list of all of the things that I had wanted to listen to later. Here I am on the Anything But Idle podcast, and I want to listen to this episode sometime later. How quickly can I throw this in my system so that I can forget about it and my system remind me at the right time? So let me create a new task and remember the milk by holding Control Alt M. I'm going to type the task, so anything but idle, and I'm going to say hashtag L. Notice it brings up the entire tag. I just hit enter, it accepts that, and then I need the URL. I'm going to just click and highlight that and say copy, go back to Control Alt M, brings the task back up, and I just hit paste, adds the task for me. Back over in my Remember the Milk inbox. Remember, here were the phone calls that we saw a little bit earlier. Here was the constant contact thing. And here's the one that I just added, anything but idle. It's tagged listen. I click on it. And remember, I had added the URL. I can just add that in the task line and it automatically goes here for me. So now when I'm working on something and I could be listening to something else in the background, I can just come over here, click on listen, and they're going to be, looks like 24 different things that are going to populate automatically. The next one, mark underscore records. This is one that I highly recommend for anybody. There are those times where there are several different tasks that somehow you want to bring together and look at the same time, and they may have different tags. There may be really nothing in common with any of them. So you can just go through individually and apply that particular tag, click, and it brings them all together. It's kind of like having a little post-it note flag on particular tasks. Let me give you an example of how I might use that mark records tag. Perhaps what I have here are 4 coworkers. Tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with Bob and Don, and maybe I don't just have one task involving Bob and one involving Don. Maybe I have quite a few. And when I get them together in the room, I want to have everything that I need to talk to either one of them about. So I'll just put a little check mark by Bob and Don. I'm going to hit the letter S, it's going to bring up my entire list of tags. Let me drag this over here so that you can see that. And I'll just hit M, and the very top one is Mark Records. I click it and notice how it applied that for both of them. It's now tomorrow. It's time for the meeting. Those two individuals come in, and I want to very quickly put my hand on those tasks that I wanted to talk to them about. So I'm going to scroll down and just click on my Mark Records. And instantly, there are the tasks that came up with that. Now, when that meeting's over and those records no longer need to be marked, I'll just put a check at the top of the box. I'll hit the letter S that brings up my entire list of tags. I'll uncheck Mark Records, click Apply, and they're unchecked. And since what we searched for was all the Mark Records, there are none. I have a tag for phone, and you see right now I have 13 phone calls that I can make. Now, why do I call it phone instead of calls? Well, look up here. I already have two things that start with the letter C. So if I were to hit hashtag C, if I called it calls, there would now be three different things that would come up, and I'd have to select from the list. Notice I only have one P. So hashtag P is automatically going to complete to phone. Same, look down here, anything that I want to read later, I just tag it read. Same thing down here for watch. Things where I have extra time, where I could be watching TV and handling this, I'll just tag it extra time. I started with an X. Why not E, since the word extra starts with the letter E? Well, up here's a very important tag, ETR, that already starts with that letter. X doesn't already have something. So hashtag X would bring up all of the things where I could do it with some extra time. Likewise, here's one that says QELPP. This is an acronym. ELPP is the acronym. Why didn't I just call it ELPP? Again, I've already got something that starts with E, so I just put that letter Q in front of it since I didn't have another Q. And down here, Z Stride, well, the project is Stride, but I already had another S. In the next video, we're going to examine Smart List and look at some easy practical examples for using them. So click right over here to subscribe so that you don't miss that. Until next time, this has been Frank Buck helping you get organized and make it look easy.